Hi, Chef Mike Pongia here, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. I've collected some of my best tricks and tips in the kitchen, and I'm going to present them here for you today. I don't know when this happened, when the computer guys started calling these things hacks, but I guess what they are. I guess they're kitchen hacks. I call them tricks and tips. This one is good for the environment and saves you time in the kitchen. When you're boiling water, always cover the pot. It'll boil much quicker. If you are one of the many home cooks who are intimidated by making perfect poached eggs and avoid it because they don't come out exactly right, exactly the way you want them, exactly the way you see them in a fine restaurant. So there are a few basic tricks we can do to improve that and create excellent, perfect looking, perfect tasting poached eggs. And that's what we'll do today. A key step, and this is very important, is to strain away the excess liquid in the egg white. You can see it here dripping out. That's the part that forms the wisps and the unattractive part of a poached egg and keeps it from looking nice and solid and oval shaped and pretty. Okay. Then we dump the egg into our ramekin, which we're going to use later to pour it into the boiling water. To get ready to poach our egg, prepare a doubled over square of paper towel, which we're going to use to drain the egg when it's done. Now, we don't want the water violently boiling, just kind of a simmer. As you can see here, just a few bubbles coming up from the bottom. And before we put our egg in, good idea to put a splash of vinegar in. And you don't really have to worry about it. You won't taste it in the egg, but it helps the white to coagulate. When you're using a saucepan, like I am doing here, you can use the swirl technique. Get a whirlpool going in your water and then gently slide the egg into it. Set your timer for 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, we use the slotted spoon to scoop our egg out and set it on the paper towel to drain. Now you can use the paper towel to pick up your poached egg and put it where you want it. In this case, I'm going to put it on top of an English muffin. There you have it. Let's take a look. Perfect. Nice firm whites and a runny interior. Here is the simplest, most effective way to make garlic bread or garlic toast. All you have to do is rub the end of the garlic clove on this toasted surface of the bread. Food storage bags are a great way to keep your leftovers fresh. Now, to keep them as fresh as possible for as long as possible, I want to show you the method that I use that I think will be useful for you, and it's very easy. Okay, I have the leftover rice in my bag. What you should do is close the bag 3/4 of the way. I have a slider type here, but if you have the type you press, same thing. Close it about 3/4 of the way. Now, squeeze the air out as much as you can. Good method is to roll the food up from the bottom to the top. Squeeze as much air out as you can. Now close the seal the rest of the way. And basically, what you've done is created almost a vacuum package for your food, which will keep it fresh longer. It's not unusual for bakers to run into the problem of having their rolls or donuts or bagels or whatever baked goods they're making be done beautifully on top and overdone or burnt on the bottom. So here's a solution that'll work to prevent that. What we do, and what many cooks do, is line the baking sheet with parchment. What I do that's a little bit different is I crunch up the parchment, then spread it out in the baking sheet. And go one step better and add a second layer. What this does is the wrinkles in the paper create all these little air spaces to keep your baked goods off the hot sheet pan. Let's talk pizza stone. A pizza stone is for making pizza, but it has another useful function which I'm going to show you today, and that is to maintain a steady temperature in the oven, particularly when you're baking bread or cakes or something that require a high temperature. When you open the oven door, of course, a lot of that hot air escapes, the temperature inside the oven drops way down, and it kind of messes up the timing and the finish of what you're cooking. So a pizza stone can help stabilize that temperature. In fact, if you want to be even more clever, you can use 2 pizza stones, one on the floor of the oven and one on the top shelf. Here's how my oven is set up for daily use. Talking meat tenderizing. Now, most of you have seen the normal meat tenderizing hammer with the points on the end. Looks something like this. I'm not going to use that today. I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm not going to use a cooking tool. I'm going to use a carpentry tool. This heavy rubberized mallet does the job, and it's what I'm going to show you how to use today. We're going to tenderize our meat on a piece of clear plastic wrap. Today I'm using a skinless, boneless chicken thigh. You could use any boneless meat. Works really well with a steak or chicken breast fillets or thigh fillets. What we do is we set it on the plastic sheet and then cover it, and that keeps our tool clean and our counter clean. Now pound the heck out of it. Until it's a uniform thickness, and it's done. Did you ever wonder if there was a special tool you could use to make it easier to peel fresh ginger? Well, there is. It's a teaspoon. A teaspoon makes it a cinch to take the outside skin off of a fresh ginger. Incidentally, fresh ginger keeps very well in the freezer. When your recipe calls for using cornstarch or flour to thicken a sauce, gravy, or a stew, first use cold water, a small amount of cold water, and add the cornstarch and flour to it. Stir it with a fork, it'll dissolve beautifully. Add it to your mix and it'll thicken and do just what it's supposed to do. Make perfect, easy to peel, hard-boiled eggs. Set your eggs into gently boiling water and time them for 14 minutes. After 14 minutes, transfer the eggs to an ice water bath. After a minute or two, you can dump the ice water and crack the egg along a hard surface all around the shell. Now, under gently running warm water, you'll find that the egg will peel very easily. And here's what we get. Now you can make perfect soft-boiled eggs the same way, except you reduce the boiling time to 6 minutes. And when you put them right into the ice bath, don't give it so long that they get cold. Give it just a minute or so in the ice bath. As a footnote on soft-boiled eggs, I want to mention that I never ate a soft-boiled egg in an egg cup until I was in my 50s. Talking about one of these, I think that many Americans are used to and have seen. It just wasn't part of my background and my culture. So what I want to do today is show how I open the soft-boiled egg and how I do it, in hopes that maybe someone else that has no idea what to do with it will learn something. First thing I do is crack near the top of the egg with the back of my spoon. Now, with a serrated steak knife with a pointy end, go in to one side, stab through the shell and the egg, and saw my way through. Now I can remove the cap, and there's my delightful soft-boiled egg. A little bit of salt. Got my spoon, and I am ready to go. This is an oldie but a goodie. Every chef should have this in their toolkit. Peeling a garlic clove. This method is simple and effective. You take your chef's knife, a nice fat garlic clove, put the flat of the knife on the garlic clove and slam it with the heel of your hand. A big garlic clove, I like to do both sides. Now, cut off the root end, slice it off, and that'll help you peel it. And take the top. I think we could use another slam on this one. Okay. Sometimes you get some with a stickier skin than others, but it came out pretty good. It's perfect. There's your perfect peeled garlic clove. One of the most favored side dishes that I make is fried mushrooms. Pretty simple. In extra virgin olive oil, garlic and salt, I put the sliced mushrooms and fry them up until some of them start to turn just a little bit crispy on the edges. Now, years ago, when I first started making these, and I made them for my in-laws, my mother-in-law liked them so much, she would always bring 10 pounds of mushrooms. Now, mushrooms are light. 10 pounds is a lot of mushrooms. She'd bring 10 pounds of mushrooms to me for Thanksgiving dinner that I was expected to cook. I spent hours in the kitchen at a little stove, pan after pan of mushrooms, and it was quite an ordeal, but they were good and everybody loved them, so I got applause at the end for this particular dish. Why did it take so long? Well, the reason is this was before the era of the microwave oven, and mushrooms contain a lot of water, a lot of moisture. So as you're cooking them, the water comes out, fills your pan, and you have to dump it out, get rid of it, otherwise the mushrooms are boiled instead of fried. So that's a constant process, and there's a lot of it, so it takes a long time to get that moisture out. In today's world, you can put them in the microwave for a minute or two, get most of the moisture out, and then go ahead and fry them. It doesn't take so long. What a good deal. Spread your mushrooms out in a single layer on a microwavable plate. Then we're going to mic them. I'm going to give them 3 minutes at about 70% power. You can see the water that's been pushed out of them, and you can dump it out. And now they're ready to fry. Now they're ready for the skillet. I have some olive oil in here that I've heated up. Then go to mushrooms. Minced garlic. Some salt. And we are cooking. So if you're going to fry mushrooms, microwave them first. You'll be glad you did. How do you tell when a cantaloupe is ripe? Chances are you won't be able to buy a ripe one at a supermarket. Reason is they're shipped green to protect them in moving, but as they age in the air, even off the vine, they will ripen. For the most part. I'm not guaranteeing it because occasionally, on rare occasions, a fruit like that will rot instead of ripen. But for the most part, they will ripen. The question is, how do you know when to cut it? How do you know when it's ripe? Well, with a cantaloupe, it's pretty easy. You look at the end opposite the stem end, and you'll see a circular marking like this. And what you do is you press in on it with your thumbs, and if it yields, it's ripe. Some of you may know that you can make a better lasagna by starting with the noodles dry and uncooked. If you have any question, go back and look at my video on lasagna. At any rate, the problem with using them uncooked is fitting them in your casserole dish. You've got the rounded corners, you've got the exact length and width of the pan, and a dry noodle does not lend itself to filling in the way a wet noodle does. So I have a little trick to show you that'll solve that problem. Now we take a dry noodle and we want to start with this corner, say. So we know approximately we'll have to cut off about that much from the end. So we soak it in warm water. Once the noodle has soaked for a few minutes, it's easy to cut it to shape. There's our first piece. The next piece we just need to cut to length. That's in there. And you just go on like that and finish it off. I want to remind your more experienced and senior chefs and cooks that a lot of folks that follow me are new to this. They're just learning how to cook. They're just beginning. They're young. They're interested. So some of the things I've shown may look a little too basic for you. I ask you to be understanding that not everybody has your skill and experience. Now that we're done, I'm going to ask you once again, please share this video with someone you know that's interested in food and cooking and doing it better. I hope you'll do that and ask them to subscribe also. Well, thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.